In today's episode of I'm Black and I'm Offended, we have the situation going on in Mizzou. That's the University of Missouri. About 30 or so black football players appeared in a photo, interlocked with other students, saying that they were boycotting any football activities upcoming for the university. Now, this all stems from quote unquote racial incidents that happened at the school. One incident, a student was called the N-word by some men in a truck. Another incident was it was a protest because of that incident, and someone said that the president of Mizzou, Tim Wolfe, hit a demonstrator with a car. That's what they say, but that has not been substantiated. And there was another incident where a swastika was found in the dorm room with feces on it. Now, from that first picture with the 30 football players and other students interlocked arms, that has now grown to the entire football team. Over 100 people, including the coaches, say that they are united as a front and they will do whatever it takes to get the president of Mizzou, Tim Wolfe, fired before they go forward. Why? Because they say he has not done enough to address the quote unquote oppression and racism that goes on at Mizzou. But here's my question. What is he supposed to do? I mean, they don't have any suspects. Like, okay, you have some men in a truck. Do they even go to the school? And if there was a problem with a name being said, okay, what is the president supposed to do about that? You know, we're not talking about sexual violence. We're not talking about murder or assault, in which that should be up to the campus police or the city police or the county police, law enforcement, not the president. So what should he do? What can be done about someone drawing a swastika in feces in the bathroom? You have no idea who did that or why. That could have been anybody. That could have been a non-student. That you don't know. It could have been a black person who was just trying to inflame the situation to make things worse. You have no idea who did that. So what can the president really do? And even if he could do something, what is firing him going to do? And now since they see that people are starting to acquiesce to their demands, you know, the president's kind of coming down, and I think the governor of the state is coming down, and they're trying to meet their demands. Now they want to ramp their demands up. Now they want to say they want to get at least 10% black faculty members. See, this is what happens. When you start to kind of cave to these SJWs, social justice warriors, especially the black ones, it's like the old quote unquote proverb says, if you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile. What I like to say is, if you give a liberal an inch, they'll go all the way to the sun. They'll take 93 million miles. That's what it is. How are you going to say you want at least 10% black staff? How does that make any sense? That's racist. You have to hire the best people. This is why these football players are at Mizzou, not in HBCU, because newsflash, all these HBCUs out here that are failing have football teams too. Why aren't you at a HBCU? I'm sure they will have you. Talented football player that goes to a mostly all-white school. Because you know that the staff at Mizzou, the faculty, the facilities, and everything else is better. Why? Because they have more resources, they have more money, they have a better program, they have a better history. They know what they're doing. You try to make it be like a HBCU, you won't want to go there anymore because the quality will go down. That's why you don't go to a HBCU now. But see, these people don't understand. And really what it is, these quote unquote kids are really adults. And you can't boycott the team that you play for and still get your scholarship and still get any benefits. If you get in a free meal package, if you're getting room and board, if you're getting free tuition, that has to stop. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, well, I want to boycott the team that I play for. I'm not hurt, but I just don't want to play because I feel like, you know, my needs aren't being met, which have not even, I've seen a couple news reports. I've not seen what they want the president to do outside of hiring more black people. What do they want him to do to really combat the racism? Racism exists. I mean, if you go to a 9-to-5 job, you may actually hate your boss. Your boss may be racist. You may have racist coworkers. You may have racist people that work in the building that you work at. A racist janitor. a racist groundskeeping crew that speaks Spanish and calling you, negro, all that type of stuff under their breath. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? You can ignore it. You can confront the person, potentially get in a fight, potentially, get fired or go to jail. You can go to your boss about it and see if they do something and see if it's anything they can do. You can, take courses of action, but what you can't do is, just stay home and go out or go outside with a sign and protest and not go to work without getting fired, because the boss says, hey, we have a deal here. You get paid this salary or whatever your hourly wage is to work. You can't get paid that money without working. And you definitely ain't gonna get paid that money to not work and to slander me, especially outside of my actual office building that I paid a note on and in front of my business, damaging my reputation. You're not gonna do that. So you gotta go. That's real life as an adult. And these college quote unquote kids are over the age of 18. They're adults. When I was age 17, I was driving and going to school and going to work, getting a paycheck, going to the bank, all that at age 17. So you 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, you're an adult. You can't act like you're in middle school and little Johnny is teasing you and the teacher ain't doing nothing about it at a PTA meeting. You 18 years old and some men in a truck call you an N-word. Now, what you gonna do in the same situation if you just out in the street outside of the confines of school? What's the difference? If you 18 in school and some random men who may or may not even go to school at all do that, and you 23 years old, graduate of college, and you in the street and somebody do that, what are you gonna do? You can call the police, you can try to fight them and potentially die, or you can let it go. I mean, that's your choices, but you can't act like somebody else is responsible for that. Like somebody that's not even there, somebody that can't do anything, and someone that has no dog in the fight. So I think what'll probably end up happening, unfortunately, is, they have a big game coming up. I think they're playing, who they playing? Villanova or somebody. I don't know who they're playing. They're playing a well-known school, and they're playing them next week in the NFL stadium. And talking about those millions of dollars on the line. They may have to acquiesce and fire the guy. But here's the thing. I don't think they should. I think this should be an example to the people that's protesting, to these adult people going to school, be an example to them. You can't just throw your weight around, cry, act like you're a victim, and get your way. And even if you do get your way, it ain't gonna help, because it'll probably make the situation worse, because now you're going to have the black kids feeling like they got the upper hand and they can just do whatever they want and it won't be any repercussion. So kids that may not have been in any kind of trouble may get into trouble because they think they can, because they think there's a license now. Since they don't have to actually abide by any rules, they can just act up and wild out and get their way. Now they will. So that's going to inflame the racial tensions more. And white kids are going to be on the defensive. And they may go out of their way to do things. So by firing a guy, you may make the situation worse. By trying to get the quote unquote 10% black staff, you may make your own college experience worse. Just like the school you did not want to go to, which was an HBCU. Because I guarantee you they probably recruited most of these kids, but they didn't want to go there. They want to go to the white school. So you got your wish. Live with it.